for our runners today. Misery incarnate sounds terrible. All right, and we're off. Got some early divergence. WeightyWords grabbing a 5-second sword. I'm sure he's very pleased with that early weapon.
Yeah, we see SaltyPhry heading out from the sanctuary, so we're going to get to see a lot of these early checks right away.
Yep, WeightyWords going right to the back of Escape here with his or rather to the front of Escape with his freshly branded sword. So I guess his uncle just forgot to take it with him when he went down. We'll see. SaltyPhry looks to be making a beeline to the mushroom spot, grabbing an early glove. That's nice. It's always nice to have those out. Get those out of the way as soon as you can.
Yeah, it's not like the uncle's very good at using that sword anyway. So we see what WeightyWords came in here for, grabbing the fire rod right away, and then looks like he's popping over to Sanctuary.
Yep, looks like he just ran in to grab the fire rod. With no magic, it's not going to be terribly useful for him now, but it's a nice weapon to have, doing a whole boatload of damage, assuming you have the magic to use it.
Yeah, we see along the bottom, if you're watching, you can see that our tracker's already laid out the crystal and pendant requirements for this seed. There won't be any map checks. So you can see that fire rod's going to be required for Skullwoods and Turtle Rock both.
Yeah, most definitely. SaltyPhry taking advantage of Thieves of Blind's hideout here by, stealing his the money that I guess he won't need anymore as he's currently in the dark world. Alright, with WeightyWords grabbing a sword first, he's just kind of following in Salty's footsteps now. Probably going to head into Blind's hideout and then do the well like Salty is as we speak. Grabbing some more bombs and the lamp. So, for those of you who like dark rooms, sorry, not today. Maybe next race though. They do have game 2 coming up tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern, so you might see some dark rooms there. But no dark rooms this go round, looks like. And there's our Titansmiths. Really early lifting.
And we'll see our one required medallion for sure this seed. If there's something in Mire, then Ether may be needed, but that'll get us access to both Turtle Rock and Ice Palace, but we also already have the Fire Rod.
Yep, SaltyPhry went ahead and grabbed his sword and is now heading straight down to Mini Moldorm Cave, looks like. Alright, WeightyWords now knows how to lift, while SaltyPhry hopes not to get trolled by these stupid little worms. They're just terrible, terrible beings.
Yeah, going for fairly simple fighter sword spin strats gets them cleanly.
Wow, early Master Sword and 3 heart pieces. That wasn't bad Mini Moldorm Cave by any extent.
No, and it looks like we see SaltyPhry heading up towards the castle as well, probably to grab his fire rod.
Yep, Salty's grabbing his fire rod, and WeightyWord's gonna grab his, at least the Master Sword, probably the 3 pieces of heart while he's at it. It's almost a full heart, and it's only a couple seconds. Might as well grab him.
Oh, but we see Fry is not quitting out from the castle.
Nope, so he must have something he likes in the back. And with the lamp, it won't even be a logic break. But I would
I don't know that
probably
he's heading to the back. He might be going upstairs.
Oh, well, never mind. Looks like we might have an Agaseed. That's not very nice. And with WeightyWords headed this way as well, he's showing that Salty's routing was just a little bit better, only having to take one trip up to the castle, whereas Weighty had to do two. One to grab the fire rod, and then one to come up here for our lovely wizard friend.
Yeah, they basically precisely converged at this point, so Fry just has a bit of a lead, probably because of only having to make the one castle trip.
Yep, and unless something goes terribly, terribly wrong, it's the little things like this that are going to end up deciding the race 45, 50 minutes in. So we'll see if WeightyWords can get a couple of those in his favor to kind of even things out here.
Yeah, I mean it's not much of a difference at this point, but it's can add up over the course of the race.
Yeah, cleaner routing and execution are basically the two things that decide these races, as there's not really a whole lot of luck as it pertains to finding the ice rod somewhere or finding the bow somewhere. Since you know where it is, it's all about how well you route it and how well you can execute that routing.
Yep, the other factor is just how many safeties you choose to grab versus whether or not you die.
A lot of these races have been terrible enough that it's not whether or not you die, it's about where you die and how much time you lose from dying. WeightyWords having some cleaner execution through this stuff, though, now only about a room behind. And our lovely tracker Vigaro in chat saying basically the same thing I did, just a little bit sooner. Maybe he should be in this booth.
Well, I mean, since you're in this booth, let's guess at one of the things that's not in the spoiler log, namely how many from 0 to 15 blue balls we'll get given no misses on an energy beam somehow.
I'm feeling slightly trollier than normal, but not by much. So I'm gonna go with a bad golf shot and say 4. How about you?
I'm going to go with a bad golf shot and say 15.
Okay, you got me on that one. That one was good. Oh, if you end up being right, both of these runners are gonna burn you at the stake.
No.
Okay, you're lucky.
WeightyWords getting his swings into the rhythm there.
I mean, you don't exactly have anything else to do.
I believe that was 3.
Yeah, 3.
I can't imagine why they would do this. What they could possibly want to kill Aga for with multiple ways to get to the Dark World already.
I mean, it's obviously because they really like the bunny music. Why else? WeightyWords checking the pyramid before he he goes and grabs it. Yeah, one up 40 in chat calling the moon pearl on the pyramid, and it wasn't a bad guess, and you were right in a way, just indirectly correct.
So yes, a King's Tomb Moon Pearl, which is rude enough by itself without the boots actually being on Pyramid.
Alright, so to those in chat who have not seen a spoiler log race before, basically how this thing works is the runners are given 15 minutes before the start of the race, and they are given a spoiler log. This is not the full spoiler log that you would see were you to just crack open a ROM in the regular website, as we have a little high five here. It doesn't include the route, so as convoluted as the routing is in the regular spoiler logs, you don't get any of that here. You do get the 216 locations, what pendant and crystals are, what their medallion requirements are. You get the tree pull drops, the rupee crab drops, the amount of digs required for the dig game, and pretty much some other quality of life things that are similar to that. You don't get how many blue balls Aghanim decides to grace you with, nor do you get how many teleports the flying blue pig wants to give you. So our runners have 15 minutes to do that, and then after it, they can have the log up for as much as they'd like, but obviously you don't want to spend too much time looking at the log when you're trying not to die.
Yeah, so we see some interesting divergence here. WeightyWords heads up to Skull Woods, grabs a magic refill out of the back there. SaltyPhry is headed towards Thievestown and grabs his flute and tempered sword from the village of outcasts.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I would presume that Fry went for the tempered sword because it makes Mothula a lot easier. That would be why I would go for the tempered sword first, and then thus do Thievestown first. But we'll see if there's any other routing decisions there that may have caused him to go for Thievestown first over Skullwoods.
Yeah, it will also mean that SaltyPhry won't have to do that dip for some magic to use the fire rod. Weighty missed a lamp down there. That's going to be unfortunate. Does
Still
get
makes
through.
it though.
Yeah, not by much either.
All you need is for Link to be able to slide underneath that door before it closes. Alright, going in here with Master Sword, 3 hearts, green mail, and about 1 shot with his fire rod, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I think that's 2 shots, but it might just be 1.
Oh, you were right, 2 shots. Good call. I thought it was going to be not quite enough.
Yeah, he's only used the fire rod, so he'll always, like, the small magic pots are exactly 1 fire rod shot.
Yeah, that's a good point. Either way, he does pull it off, only takes 1 heart of damage, and the moth is squished.
And the moth has a bit of a vanity problem because he gets the mirror there, which may explain the routing divergence and not going for that tempered sword. I'm not actually sure which of these is going to end up being better off. That he made that Master Sword Mothula kill look so clean will go a long way.
Yeah, most definitely. He kind of made me eat my words there with the tempered sword versus master sword there. Although Salty could theoretically do it much faster, only requiring 4 tempered sword smacks.
Yeah, the big advantage WeightyWords is going to have here is he's going to have the mirror after picking up the flute in Village of Outcasts and be able to mirror over and activate it, which is nice.
And for those of you who missed Blind's terrible pun, he said that the blind shop is curtain death.
Go ahead and mirror over before doing thieves. I actually thought to save a transition he might wait until after.
Honestly, I think he chose to do it before so he wouldn't forget. But that's just what my thinking would lead me to do personally. But yeah, we'll see. As we can see, there was nothing really of use in Thieves Town, so it'll just be a quick clear there. And nothing really in Skull Woods outside of the mirror, which, well, since that's on Moth, that is easy to grab. SaltyPhry's going to be saving a bit of time, though, as he already has full magic and doesn't have to go into that room to grab some magic so he can fire rod things.
Yeah, WeightyWords not bothering to pick up Tempered before Thieves Town either. Should be totally fine. There's a couple places where it's nice to have, but it obviously doesn't matter at all on Blind.
Yeah, Blind's not picky. 9 smacks and he's dead.
Yeah, and SaltyPhry is going to be getting to Mothula just as Weighty is heading into the attic, so definitely going to take a lead here to the second crystal if this fight goes clean.
Yeah, it is walking in here with the exact same as WeightyWords had, and other than the tempered sword, obviously. Uh-oh. Gotta be careful. Dance around those spikes.
All right,
Alright, cool.
that was stressful, but got it.
Alright, and our tracker Regaro in chat kind of being a little troll and telling you guys that there is another unique item in Skull Woods. With both of our runners clearing it, we can fairly freely tell you that there will unfortunately be no swagnet in today's race.
I mean, what's the point? You already killed Aga 1.
For Aga 2, obviously.
I mean, it's better than the hammer in a swordless seed, but it's not better than the sword.
Anything's better than me in a swordless seed. So yeah, with Salty activating his flute right now as WeightyWords just finishing up Blind, it's going to end up being pretty close. Salty does have that other sword picked up that WeightyWords may or may not decide to grab. But other than that, it was more or less a wash.
Yeah, and WeightyWords can be waiting on the crystal, but SaltyPhry is transitioning over to Dark World. I think SaltyPhry's got like maybe a 5 or 6 second lead at this point. It's very close.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's about what they started with going into this whole thing. So pretty sure it was maybe a couple seconds in one direction or the other, but not a whole lot. Who put that there?
Did you need it for something?
I mean, the runners don't even use it correctly. You're supposed to throw it.
His boots coming up all kinds of required today, as the ice rod is in the library, and to go with our King's Tomb Moon Pearl.
You know, this part of the overworld just coming up insane. If you include the hammer over in Cave 45, oh, yep, WeightyWords. That's a really hard stop to make when you're going at 4x speed. So pretty much the rest of our our Turtle Rock care package there.
Yeah, if they wanted to, they could immediately head up and do Green Mail 5 Hurt Turtle Rock. That sounds fun.
You might want to be careful about what you say, Mercer, because SaltyPhry is headed in that direction. To answer chat about my potential or not potential infinite hammer usage, it is a family secret, and I am not allowed to pass it down. Sorry to disappoint. Frost Toys, thank you for the Tier 1 subscription to Speed Gaming. We appreciate the support.
SaltyPhry grabbing the Bonk Fairy there was down to 1 heart. Death Mountain can be dangerous.
Yeah, cabbages aren't really friendly, whether you decide to bake them and try to eat them, or just have them rain upon your head. Alright, so WeightyWords looks like he is making a quick detour. Ooh, that's nice. Grabbing a heart and some bombs and the silvers, which will come in handy eventually. SaltyPhry looks like he is going to be doing the same thing, just activated Turtle Rock first.
Yeah, Whitey's taking the bottom portal here.
Yep, once again, just a very minute difference in how they've routed particular things that'll probably end up being more or less equal in the end of it. Salty does grab a 300 though, and decides to grab his bombs in the top. Oh, maybe he just wasn't quite sure where those arrows were, because he looked confused for just a split second.
Yeah, so Whitey grabs his bow and then quits out and then realizes he's in the Dark World because of killing Aga.
Yep, in the Dark World because Aghanim sucks. So it looks like WeightyWords is going to go put that bow to good use right away, whereas SaltyPhry might actually be heading up and doing your 6 hearts green mail, Turtle Rock. Not 5 hearts like you wanted, but 6 hearts, so, you know, pretty close.
Well, he's got to grab the bow at least, but yeah. Now, while he's still up here and WeightyWords isn't, he's not going to have to wait through that Turtle Rock opening animation. WeightyWords still will.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a couple of seconds that he will definitely save there. And looks like he might just be heading out too. So, no early Turtle Rock. Sorry, Mercer.
There's really no reason to do it unless there's something in there. And there's not really anything that's in there that's worth doing it early for.
Yeah, you're going to have to come back up anyways. And since you know there's nothing in there, it's just not worth it. Alright, so both of our runners showing you why you don't get the boots until after Eastern, because it's much more fun to make you walk all of these long, wonderful for dashing hallways that you just can't do in the vanilla game. And the big key, of course, in its vanilla location, because, well, let's make Eastern take as long as we can.
Yeah, the boots at least help with it.
That's very much true. Chat bringing up an interesting point that that us knowing the locations of where things are kind of ruins the hype for it, at least in terms of finding items. And while I do agree with that to an extent, it also kind of takes, like, what retracts from it is the fact the runners know where it is. So let's say even if we didn't know that the boots, for instance, were sitting on the pyramid, we'd know something was, because the runners went all the way out of their way to go kill Aghanim right away, and the only thing they really needed for Dark World access was either going to be the hammer or the moon pearl or something leading to those two. So even if we don't have the spoiler log, we can kind of infer what's going on based upon where they're going. I do understand your frustration, though. It is a lot more fun when you don't know what's going on, and I do actually try to forget most of the spoiler log before I commentate. So we'll see how it goes. WeightyWords showing us
Blink and you
film.
miss it. Fight with our most knights there.
Yeah, Silver's definitely completely and utterly destroying the Armos Knights. So that's always fun to do.
And we should make it something more fair, like, let's put it on ice.
I mean, honestly, that's not going to turn out much better for the Armos Knights. WeightyWords is making a quick stop over in Sahasrala's closet. Hearts are always nice, and they are at a premium here in a spoiler log race because of all the chests that you're not going to open. So it's definitely worth grabbing if you've got one in the way like that.
Yeah, we see WeightyWords heading straight over to Desert after Eastern, doing our light world trip. We also see SaltyPhry is ditching out without going to get that heart, so that is going to be a difference in safeties here.
Yeah, one of the most interesting parts of a spoiler log race is that the runners are allowed to either watch each other or watch the restream if they, for some reason, like hearing us talk. So they do have an idea of who is quote-unquote ahead or behind, and you might see one of them or both of them grab an extra safety if they know they have a little bit of time, or skip out on one if they're trying to catch up. So that's definitely a thing here that you wouldn't see in a normaler. Wow, that was nice. In a normal randomizer race.
Yeah, and while WeightyWords does look to have an advantage right now, it's hard to know for sure how much SaltyPhry having Turtle Rock already open is worth. I actually think they're pretty close to even.
That's fair. There's also a good 20 minutes left of execution at the very least. So there's plenty of time for this to bounce around in one direction or the other. In a traditional randomizer race, go mode is what you call from the moment that you have all of the items required to beat the game. So you can basically just run through dungeons, grab any big keys you need, and just fly through stuff that way. Since this is a spoiler log race, we don't really have go mode because the runners know where everything is. But we do tend to call it boss rush mode, where they're basically essentially doing the same thing and don't have to stop for anything else that they don't want to in terms of safeties. Land mode does show us a nice half magic, which is required to pick up, so that's always a nice thing.
Yep. Required to pick up because the crystal won't spawn until you do. Both our runners get 3 silver arrows and out 1 cycle land modes, so very clean and equal fights. We see WeightyWords heading up towards Link's Dark House.
I mean, this is the one good thing about an Aghanim seed, is that, you have the free teleport right there, so I guess they might as well use it, right?
Yeah, Eastern and Desert were our 5-6 crystals. We saw both of them kind of rushing towards those.
And the Pyramid Fairy has our Swamp Care Package. That's right, 2 required key items in Pyramid Fairy. Isn't this a fun seed?
Yeah, I believe those were our last 2 items for Go mode. That is the second time I've actually seen the hookshot on Pyramid Fairy in this tournament. It's pretty hilarious. That is the first time I've ever seen 2 progression items in there.
I'm pretty sure that between the boot leading to the Moon Pearl on Pyramid and the flippers and hookshot in the Pyramid Fairy, this was just a really good day to check Pyramid, in general.
Also, given that those are some very frequently left off spots in Randomizer, this was a very good day to be doing spoiler log races.
With SaltyPhry taking the long way around, I wonder if he forgot that he had the flute for a second.
Yeah, I've still never seen the mythical pyramid hammer. I'm rooting for it, though.
Yeah, it's not something I've personally seen either, but I have heard of it.
Pyramid Fairy hammer, I should say. I've actually seen hammer on pyramid, but
I don't think I've seen either. That's a terrible, terrible place to put that either way. So one of the best parts about this spoiler log tournament is that Swamp Palace is, well, it's either something that you have to go to the left side for something you need, or you don't, because there's nothing there. So you don't have to worry about the gut-wrenching, how many items am I leaving over there and should I go back in? Hey, big 20. I don't think he meant to grab that.
Yeah, I think he may have gotten map and compass just backwards in the spoiler log.
To be fair, I think I did too, because when I looked at it, I thought that's what the chest was. So, SaltyPhry not doing that, so pretty much right behind WeightyWords at this point. Yep, and a very interesting thing about the spoiler log races that that sometimes people don't think about until they've stopped and they're looking at the spoiler log itself is that the spoiler log locations aren't necessarily super descriptive. Like you don't get a first chest in Thieves Town is this, and second chest in Thieves Town is this, and third chest is this. It's more of a map chest and compass chest and ambush chest and big key chest. So if it's not something that you're super familiar with, you might have a little bit of difficulty.
Yeah, we saw WeightyWords picking up a couple of hearts there. So going to lose a little time to that. Ooh, down to half a heart here, so going to need to be careful.
Yeah, Argus not being terribly kind to either of our runners.
I can spoil the map chest. I believe had the big key leading to a heart container in the big chest.
Yeah, that's something we're not going to see either of our runners grab at this point. I'm now trying to. Oh, is the map chest the first chest that you get that doesn't have the key in it?
I don't remember. I just know the compass chest there because the last time I did vanilla, I couldn't remember what was actually in there and did that and got the compass.
Alright, it looks like we're headed straight over to Ice Palace. So our runners pretty more or less following each other at this point. So it looks like we're more or less gonna have a beeline because all they have after this is Turtle Rock. I don't think we're gonna see a whole lot of divergence at this point. Just gonna be an execution race.
Yeah, I would actually say I think SaltyPhry is very slightly ahead at this point because of not needing to open Turtle Rock.
That is a good point. That is, I believe, going to be somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head exactly.
It's a little longer than that. You got to do the hammers. Bombos' animation is not short.
Well, technically, okay, so from what I was told, it's faster to go up the light world, which would mean, oh yeah, that's right, because those hammers pegs do stay down. Never mind, I'm an idiot. Ignore the dork in the commentary booth.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not determined by any means. Like execution and also not dying are both very important.
Yeah, and with our two bosses left, our runners are going to be fairly happy they have half magic at their disposal. WeightyWords missing the bomb jump once there, so yeah, SaltyPhry doing the exact same thing. We have people having a little bit of difficulty.
Weighty misses it this time, he's dead.
And SaltyPhry is just is down to one heart and doesn't really. Oh, he's gonna have to forego the bomb jump. I hope he knows where the big key is. Never mind. That is absolutely. Oh no! Oh, never mind. I thought he was gonna go back and do the bomb jump. I hope he knows where the big key is.
You don't need the big key if you have Kane. Right? No, maybe you do. I don't remember.
No,
I know the bomb jump. I haven't missed it in a while.
I'm almost positive that you do need the big key if you don't do the bomb jump, because I can't do the bomb jump. And if I don't need the big key, and I've been getting the big key this entire time, I'm going to be salty.
No, I think you're right. It's been a while. That was one of the first tricks I learned. I actually could not remember.
Oh, that is really, really lucky. Alright, so Weighty deciding to grab a fairy. I wonder if Salty will do the same. No, it looks like not. So They're going to be pretty much even coming in here, but Weighty in a much better position health-wise.
Yeah, their offense is pretty good in terms of firepower, but SaltyPhry is gonna basically be an OCO for this.
WeightyWords taking an ice shot there. Gonna be happy that he wasn't an OCO. Hopefully SaltyPhry is using Bombos, it looks like. So saving as much magic as he can. Okay, good. SaltyPhry pulling it off. It's a terrible thing to have a race decided by a death at Cold Stare.
Yeah, that was really good recovery from missing the bomb jump and not being in a position where he could go forward with it. He was able. I'd be surprised if he routed those keys in advance. He was able to do it on the fly pretty nicely.
Yeah, very much so. And even going down and grabbing the small key out of the big chest, which would have been faster than going to the next room and grabbing the small key under the pot. So very, very nice routing on his part. Alright, so at this point it looks like it's going to be actually really, really close, with Salty losing a little more time there for Cold Stare. It looks like we're going to be really close in Turtle Rock entry.
Yeah, so I think Salty was ahead before the Ice Palace trouble, and now is about like 6 seconds behind.
I don't even think it's that long. I'm pretty sure it's closer to like 3. Either way, it's going to be fun. Alright, strap yourselves in, guys. We have one Trinex and a GT and a big old pig in our way between finishing this one. Keep in mind that anything within 2 seconds is a tie, so let's hope for some more random. Oof, SaltyPhry missing that there. That's unfortunate. And WeightyWords grabbing his first shield, which I'm sure was completely intentional.
I'm sure there's something you can deflect between now and the end of the seed.
Maybe. I think the only thing you can deflect with that sucker are the dirt balls, though, that either the Octoroks shoot at you or similar things. So I don't know if there's too many enemies that give you those, but we'll see if it comes in handy. And WeightyWords pulling off the terrifying room of Chain Chomps. Oof, SaltyPhry misplacing the block there, but still ends up okay.
Yeah, these things hit real hard if you're in green mail.
What is it, like 6 hearts or something ridiculous?
I believe that's correct. It's the hardest anything hits other than a Ganon hug. 4 hearts, chat's correcting me.
Further proof that they need to stay in the Mario universe. Ooh, SaltyPhry getting taken out by a double ricochet Pokeball there. That's not good at all.
Yeah, about to get to a bit of safety at least, but on half a heart at this point.
Yeah, that's what I kindly call the... Oh,
Takes an ID for, yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, half a heart is the, if anything looks at you funny, you die. So, really good idea there.
Yeah, it costs a few seconds, but with no powder or bottles, that's probably best to just do. It's going to be tough not to take any damage through the rest of the dungeon. We'll see if he takes the other safety door or not.
Getting trolled by that crystal roller. Thankfully, no laser bridge this go around, but Trinix is not kind.
We see SaltyPhry using hookshot strats to not take damage, and also taking the hearts over here on the right side of the room as WeightyWords heads into Trinix.
Yep, taking the safer front door strats. Tempered Sword, though, this shouldn't be too bad, although that ice on the floor could be problematic.
Gets through to the third phase or second phase, depending on how you want to count, pretty cleanly, though.
Yeah, very much so. Got around that ice without any trouble, so that's always nice to see.
Alright, so that is the 7th crystal for WeightyWords. In chat, we're going to play a little bit of a modified version of everybody's favorite big key guessing game. Our runners already know where the key is, so don't guess a number. Instead, I need a specific chest location. No guessing randomizer room and trying to get 4. I know you avoided looking. What's your guess?
I am going to say, I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to say Stelfo's room, top left chest. How about you, Mercer? Did you take...
I didn't, and I have a standing guess of vanilla location for this tournament because I think it's probably the most miserable place for it to be.
Of course you do, and you really just want to see those Armos on ice, don't you?
It's less fun with silver arrows. I want to see Boomerang Armos on ice. See them doing the bow glitch in Ganon's Tower.
That would, that'd be terrible, coming up with a seed that could actually do that, because you'd have to put the bow so far out of the way that it would be worth it to do all of that.
Yeah, it'd have to be on, like, Sarashula with Green Pendant TR or something.
You know, you came up with that really quickly. Are you sure you're not a terrible human being? Hey, there's a mail upgrade. That's always nice to see.
Yeah, better late than never.
Alright, so it looks like at the very least I'm wrong. Most likely you as well, but for any of you who guessed the compass room, you still have a chance. Alright, and Nachibato, you were close, but just one chest off there. So, good guessing. I don't think anybody else guessed compass room.
Yeah, WeightyWords going to take a bit of a lead here into the gauntlet still. It's a nice fairy drop, too.
Yeah, that fairy is absolutely excellent, given that he has nothing else in the way of safeties.
Yeah, the blue mail helps, but no bottles, no powder, just an attrition war to the top here.
Yep, 8 available hearts, 6 open right now, so we'll see how it goes for him. Gotta be careful.
Yeah, worth noting he has a full heart container above what SaltyPhry ended up at.
Uh-oh. Okay, that's good. I'm glad the Ice Rod has more of a hitbox than the Silvers do, because SaltyPhry may have soft-locked himself otherwise.
He could have gotten out of that with the cane anyway, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Alright, so since we couldn't give you the Armos on Ice, Mercer, is Beamos on Ice okay?
No, we see this every seed.
You're so picky. I'm just trying to give you something here. You just won't take it. Speaking of not taking it, WeightyWords missing on his second Landmo there, so gonna have to take a second, maybe a third cycle. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's a bit of a chance for SaltyPhry to gain some time, about 12 seconds if he does it in one cycle.
Yeah, almost missed that third cycle arrow too. He got lucky that the Landmo went straight, or else he would have missed it. As SaltyPhry plays ring around the Rosie here. Down to a heart and a half, and nothing really to help him out, so just gonna have to be careful.
Yeah, recovers there, misses the first shot at the third Landmo, but it gets it before it goes underground.
Yeah, very nice recovery there. Alright, and we will see if our Moldorm 1 has anything to say about today's seed.
I suppose it is the first one today.
Moldorm declines or neglects to comment on WeightyWords' side. We'll see if he has any words of wisdom over on SaltyPhry's side in just about a minute here.
WeightyWords fails to pick up the unique item that's in that last chest. We'll see if SaltyPhry gets it.
SaltyPhry using the bonk here because, well, he can, and let's be honest, it looks cool. This is not a room you want to do with half a heart. Oh, be careful, dude.
Yeah, no powder, so not going to be able to get a full refill here either.
Yeah, this could end up being interesting. As WeightyWords continues on the beat for the Agatu fight and gets teleported over to the pig via Duck Express. And WeightyWords absolutely wailing on the pig.
Yep, he's cleanly into phase 3. I don't think the mirror actually does anything in this fight, but you don't really want to use it.
I don't think I've ever tried that. I might have to go do that now.
Gets the torch glitch. Nice.
Yes, it always looks very, very clean when you pull it off with Fire Rod.
Just goes for singles, but gets them all very cleanly. And down goes Ganon just as SaltyPhry starts to head into the fight. Get your GGs in chat for WeightyWords. He just needs to cross this bridge and talk to the Triforce.
Yep, and WeightyWords has now finished with an official SRL time of 55 minutes and 55 seconds.
Yep, SaltyPhry continuing on, doing a basically one-hit KO Ganon fight, so good luck to him. Gonna have to be a bit cautious here with these fire bats.
Gonna have to be more cautious with that fire bat.
Yeah, and that causes him to need to let another spawn. It can spiral a little bit if you're not careful.
Really? It can spiral? That's worse than any pun I think I've ever made on here.
But he's cleanly into phase 4. Just needs to watch out for these bats now.
And there we go. Now he just has to avoid jumping off the bridge.
That was a very good Ganon fight. I mean, Tempered and Silvers do help a lot, but one heart, never a guarantee.
Well, get to our GGs in chat for SaltyPhry, who finishes about a minute and a half later with an official SRL time of 57 minutes and 22 seconds. GG SaltyPhry. So what did you think of that seed?
Thanks, GG. That was pretty fun. I'm shocked I never died, to be honest with you. There was a lot of real butt-clenching moments in that one.
Yeah, a couple there. I believe it was you that had the really tense Mothula fight, as well as the entirety of like the back half of GT and Ganon.
Yeah, Aga 2 when you only have one heart is quite stressful, I'm not going to lie. I probably could have gotten that done a cycle or two earlier, but I was so worried about taking another hit that I just had to kind of lay back and make sure that I didn't take any hits from those.
We do have WeightyWords in here as well, so GG WeightyWords. Hope this seed was fun for you as it was.
Hey, thanks. GG SaltyPhry.
Thanks, GG, man. Nicely done.
Yeah, I'm also surprised that I didn't really die. I mean, I did one intentional death. Other than that, I'm so surprised I didn't die. This was such a low safety seed.
Yeah, well, I had some real butt-clenching moments. I was on like one-hit KO mode for all of Cold Stare, all of Ganon, all of Aga 2, so none of those moments were fun.
Oh yeah, I had that moment in Mothula, and then I messed up my Ice Palace bomb jump so that I had 2 hearts left, so my next try, I either made it or I died. So that was fun.
Mine was basically the same thing, except I had 1 heart left, so I had to quickly check the log and realize that by mere luck that the big key and the key were right in my path in order to get down there, so I ended up just flipping the switch and not bomb jumping in the air.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I was really lucky by that, because like that big key was back up at the top, I was completely screwed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an interesting seed. I mean, I was looking through and I see the 2 power gloves early on. I'm like, oh, okay, that's sweet. Probably not an Aga seed. And then I see where the Moon Pearl is. I'm like, oh, okay, where's the boots? Oh, crap.
Yeah, that was exactly. I was like, okay, Moon Pearl's at Bonk Rocks. That means we get mitts early. Okay, where are the boots? And it was so sad.
At least the boots were reasonably early. I guess it could have been worse. Like I guess it was like 10 minutes or so in that you got it, which for one of these is pretty good. I mean, it's better than never getting it or it being in GT. I've had a couple of those.
Yeah, that's very true. I do enjoy having boots early.
Yeah, what you guys described is basically exactly what we did when we were going through the spoiler log. We're like, okay, so there's one glove, there's the other glove. Hammer's behind the mirror, but that's not a big deal. Okay, so the Moon Pearl is on King's Tomb. Wait, where are the really the boots are? And Pyramid Fairy has 2 required. Okay, right.
Yeah,
We're just gonna have to go there.
Pyramid had 3 items today. That's something you don't see often.
I guess the only saving grace is that it was Eastern and Desert as the 5-6 crystals, so at least those ones were pretty easy to do. I guess if it was Skullwoods or Thieves' Town, that would be nice as well.
I'm just surprised that like literally no dungeon had progression. Everything was like overworld. I guess Mothula had the mirror, but other than that,
yeah, it did make for a nice seed with no pendant dungeons, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a moment where we weren't sure if you were going to have to go into. I want to say it was Pod that had the Book of Medora for Desert, but then we saw that the mirror and the mitts and the flute were all pretty early access. So
yeah, it's just unfortunate that like there were no good mail upgrades throughout the whole thing. But I guess I'm glad that we got a really early tempered sword. That definitely is something that I like to see.
Well, the other mail upgrade, which was on the potion shop, and the mushroom was in GT as well. So obviously there was no mail upgrades. There was no mail upgrades before GT, so that was not an option.
Yeah, the mushroom was our validation chest, actually, if I remember correctly. So yeah, no one was going to go.
I guess the only saving grace is the blue mail was conveniently located for the GT climb.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and neither of you bothered. We had somebody in chat asking about the fourth sword earlier. I believe it was in Hookshot Cave, but neither of you bothered opening it.
I had originally planned on getting that because I had overlooked the fact I didn't have the hookshot my first trip up Death Mountain, so I had planned on getting it my first trip up Death Mountain, and by the time I was going up the second time, I realized I was slightly behind, so there was no chance of that happening at that point.
I did the exact same thing. I was gonna grab it when I got the bow, and I was like, wait, I don't have hookshot, so I couldn't get it.
Like I figured I was gonna pick up that bottle and go throw it in the Waterfall Ferry for a ferry there. It was kind of my plan to get the heart.
Yeah, I was gonna take the bottle and get a potion, and then I didn't have hookshot, so.
Yeah, I figured I wasn't like I guess I could have bonked over to get the bottle, but just for the bottle, I wasn't going in there.
Yeah, I was really considering getting the bottle out of was it Back of Escape, but I just never had a reason to save and quit, so I just never ended up getting that bottle.
That's kind of tough there because it's far enough out of the way that you don't really want to do it. And a bottle is kind of one of those things where you feel like you should be able to get through without it, but it is nice to have. That's for sure.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, I think you'd have had to put something in that one too, because I think that came with a B in it, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, all the ones that were readily available had Bs in them. I think there was one in GT that had a red potion, but it was out of the way, if I recall.
Yeah, Rando Room.
The half magic on Mothula was nice, but it was just about the only thing this seat gave you in terms of staying alive.
Landmo, I think Mirror was on Moth.
Yeah, that was pretty much the only safety I ended up getting, because Cape was in Rando Room as well, so that wasn't something you were getting. I mean, you could have gone and got Kane over an ice ride.
Yeah,
Cape.
but that's so
that's
far
one of those
away.
things. Exactly, like that's kind of the same type of thing as the bottle down in sewers, right? It's the same type of thing.
Yeah, and you don't need it, you know. But
yeah, the powder was over in Meyer, so obviously you were never gonna go get that.
Yeah.
Either way, this was a really low health seed, and you guys played it excellently with no unintentional deaths, although there were some close calls. So great job on both of you.
Yeah, it was a very scary seed. I was very nervous throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, me too. Like that was I normally don't go for small heart or for the heart pieces, but like I ended up finding 4 of them early on just because I realized very early on this is going to be green mail, and if I didn't get that, I was going to be at like 5 hearts the entire time.
Yep. It was
like
nice
normally. With
Yeah, it
5
was
to
nice
7
to-
hearts and blue mail, I usually feel good, but obviously without the blue mail, that makes you feel a little iffy.
Yeah, I saw the 3 heart pieces in Mini Molder. I'm like, okay, I need to get this because I don't want to die in Aga Tower, and I definitely see that there aren't that many heart containers along the way.
I really wanted to try to find some magic before going up Aga Tower as well, so I could use that fire rod. But I figured just walking over to the Uncle area to get the 2 little things of magic wasn't really worth it. So I was like checking everything, like stun prize, no. Crab, no. Tree
Yeah,
poles, no. Like absolutely
there were
nothing.
no magic. Yep. I had to get the magic out of the vanilla big key room in Skullwoods. I didn't realize you didn't get a magic refill if you were a bunny. Like I was expecting to get a magic refill as a bunny when I killed Aga, but I didn't get one, so I was really shocked.
Yeah, same thing happened to me, and I actually ended up doing Thieves Town first just because of that, actually, because I figured I would be fine without magic running through there. I got
that would
the
make
refill
sense.
off blind, right? So I went there and got my magic from that.
Yep, that makes sense.
And we do see L's collection rates within one of each other. SaltyPhry ending up with 1 item less and also 1 heart less.
Yeah, it looks like Weighty did grab the baby's first shield. There is the one big difference, and also has 1 more heart.
That shield was definitely an accident. It was, I think, in Turtle Rock Roller Room. I didn't remember which one it was, and I think I just grabbed the wrong one.
Yeah, I meant to pick up the heart container over at Sahasrala's actually, but I completely forgot it because I was going to do that. I was going to do that after Eastern Palace because if you're running up the right side, it seems like always a better idea to go there afterwards. But then I completely forgot. I just pulled out my flute and headed over to Desert instead.
There was also the mix-up in Swamp between the compass chest and the map chest.
That was me. I did not realize that they were the other way around. I could have sworn that they were, but I guess not.
It's okay. Honestly, I thought the same thing.
I make those kinds of mistakes all the time. That and mixing up the big key chest and the big chest. Those are 2 mistakes I make all the time.
Oh, you know what? I think I just misread it because I wrote down in my notes that Swamp Palace map chest had the big key. Or the Swamp Palace compass chest had the big key. Even though it was in the map chest. Okay, I just wrote it down wrong. Okay, so that is the compass chest. I just wrote it down wrong in my notes.
Yeah, I remember that one's the compass chest because the last time I did vanilla, I don't know why, I thought it was going to be the big key chest. And I went and did that and got the compass and was like, oh.
Yeah.
But you 2 are getting ready for your game 2 tomorrow. Any more comments on this seed? That was a really fun race to watch. Pretty exciting to see both of you do low health.
Yeah.
Hoping for a 3 heart green mail one tomorrow, maybe? The full-on insane mode seed?
I kind of want to do a seed where, like, because I feel like the routing here was really straightforward, and it wasn't too bad. It was just the executing that was the difficult part, so I kind of like those convoluted seeds where, you know, there's a lot of route divergence, and you don't really know what the most optimal thing is in 15 minutes, so maybe I'll hope for one of those.
Yeah, this was definitely one where there was a lot more emphasis put on, hey, can you survive? Versus, hey, can you route this pile of insanity?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was kind of weird the way. Well, I shouldn't say weird. I guess it was just interesting the way this one kind of played it. Everything was really straightforward. It didn't take me very long really to route it all. I had quite 4 or 5 minutes left at the end where I was just kind of searching through for any little thing I could kind of improve on, make sure I didn't overlook stuff, despite the fact that I still did overlook not having the hook shot on Death Mountain. I'm great at doing little things like that. At least this time it was just something like that where it was basically irrelevant for the most part.
Yeah, that East Death Mountain access has definitely bitten me in my practice races because you just assume that you have it and sometimes you just don't.
Well, it's not even just something like that. Like something like I'll forget like that I need a fire source to beat Desert or something like that. Like
I
have everything else I need, and then like I'll get there and realize, oh crap, I don't have the fire rod or lamp. I just completely overlooked something like that.
Yeah.
Alright, so you guys do have your game 2 tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern on Speed Gaming 5. Do you guys have any ideas of when a game 3 would be scheduled if required?
I don't really know yet, but I'm pretty free for most of the next week, but it should probably be sometime soonish.
Yeah, we'll just see what happens tomorrow. We'll take it from
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
more or
yeah,
less.
yeah. No, let's see what happens tomorrow first. Yeah.
Awesome. Did either of you guys have any more info you wanted to throw out there concerning the season?
Not really, but thanks to you guys for commentating, and thanks to Reg for tracking, and the whole tournament's been great, and thanks for everybody that made it come together. So
Yeah, thanks you guys for running. You guys are the ones who give us something to watch. Because trust me, if we were trying to watch me run this, it wouldn't be nearly as exciting. It would be, why does he keep dying? All right, Mercer, do you have any last thoughts you want to throw out?
Yeah, I'd just like to shout to those watching. Give our runners a follow, WeightyWords and SaltyPhry. They both put on really good races tonight. If you want to, also give HammerBro120, my co-commentator here, a follow, and Regaro, our tracker.
Yep, and feel free to give Mercer a follow as well, as this is, I think, my 4th race common with him, and it's always a blast to do so.
And other than that, I'm looking forward to the rest of this match and the rest of our quarterfinal action as it gets added to the schedule.
Yep, this is, as it stands, the only set that's out there, but more will be coming. So keep an eye on the schedule and stay tuned, and we'll have plenty more races for you. All right, so I'm HammerBro. With me is Mercer, and from all of us over at this tournament, this is us signing off. Have a good night, everyone.